Hi there YouTubers, welcome back to my channel, Workshop Fun. Today I'd just like to talk about how I have just turned around and upgraded my Seig X2 mini mill to the belt drive. I decided not to actually show the process of putting the belt drive kit on because there seems to be already enough on YouTube. There seems to be about 3 or 4 at least. But what I wanted to talk about is a couple of things that I found were neglected to be mentioned on the YouTube videos. One was underneath here, you have your main nut for your spindle. I've looked at, I think, 3 videos, or 4, and none of them have mentioned that once you've done this up tight, you are meant to bump it back just a tiny little bit. Not to loosen it off greatly, it's only just to loosen it off a fraction, and then you tighten up the little grub screw here, and that creates the preload. It's pretty important, I think, to do that because it's a preload on the bearings, and it just gives them that breathing space that they need. You don't loosen it off so there's slop in the pulley. You just loosen it off a fraction for the preload on the bearings. Now, the other thing I'd like to talk about, what I did with my particular mill when I came to doing this belt drive kit, is I went the whole hog and removed the head from the column altogether, which it says to do in the instructions if you are going to go the whole hog. And that gets rid of this extra gear here. I'll just show you. There you go. That gets rid of this extra gear here off the shaft that you'd otherwise disengage and just leave there doing nothing. But it still makes a little chatter in there, just I guess vibration or something. But I found it irritating anyway because I don't really, you got this nice smooth belt drive and then suddenly you got a little bit of chatter still. So I got rid of that. And this is the main gear that you get rid of, which is prone to breaking. This one. I think this one already had a slightly chipped tooth. It's probably been like that for years, but anyway, it's gone. And you get rid of a couple of the other bits. There's the old lever and the motor cog, that all goes. So you end up getting rid of quite a lot. And there's a fork too that you get rid of from the inside at the back of the spindle. It's the high-low selector fork. Now what I did is I had all this apart yesterday, and I'm just going to bring you around to here. One moment. I'm just going to get the right angle. Now, it's pretty hard, but there you go. That there is a cap. That's where the high-low lever used to be. I made that blank out of the actual old high-low lever. I removed the lever, and where the lever screwed in, I removed that using my lathe and turned around and just flattened it off and used a file to break the edge so you don't cut yourself on that. And then after that I turned around. There's already a grub screw in here that holds this in place, but it's on a slide. There's a groove engraved into this so it can actually slide for the lever, the high-low lever. Now I turned around and spun it around and so away from that groove, and I did up the grub screw and made a pinch mark on it, and then I undid the grub screw and removed this again, and I put that part in my drill press and just drilled a little cup so the grub screw goes down into that cup, and this just cannot come out. There's no way. So that's in there secured and looks very professional. It's as though the high-low lever was never there now. Now, after getting it all back together, there's one thing I realised. out of the factory, your X2 mill has this. It's a little bolt guard for right up the top. Now, the belt kit, the belt upgrade kit for your mini mill, doesn't have capping over that bolt. It has this plastic guard here, your belt guard. It looks a bit different to this out of the factory. I've modified it. But there's no, this alloy bit isn't here. I made this. Now, I'm just going to bring you closer to, I'm going to put my work down here. And there we go. So I can show you guys. I'll just zoom this up. We'll try to. There we go. So I actually made this out of the old motor holder. It has the ring in it for the cap here. So this is what remains of the old motor holder. I milled it out. I milled the basically I milled the ring out or off this piece. I just pretty much chopped the first third off, and then I turned around and milled everything on the piece that I milled off. There was also these and another little square which had been for the arm to go through for the lock, for the spindle lock. So I milled that all off until it was all fairly well flat. I did that in my bigger machine vise, and then I turned around and I put this ring in the free jaw chuck on my lathe, and I machined the front and the back and made it nice and flush, so it's really level now. And then I just sanded it all off, but left some machine marks. I still wanted it, look semi-machined, and I beveled the edges, so I gave that a sort of a matching look with the actual guard, and I was sort of careful to try and find the right sort of angle of the bevels with the turning tool on my lathe. So once I got that all done, I then also used some old Allen key heads, screws that were off the original motor guard, and I chopped them down, and I machined some nuts down too, made them smaller, so on the inside here this all clears the belt and the pulley well and truly. There's like 4mm clearance, so there's plenty of clearance. Then I turned around and chopped down the Allen key nuts, so they were much shallower. I drilled 2 holes in the mill and then beveled out the holes a bit with a bigger drill. I didn't quite get them as flush as what I could have, but I'm not going to worry. It still looks pretty cool. And I marked out where the holes needed to go in this plastic guard and drilled the holes through the plastic guard as well. And to secure these nuts, I didn't have any Loctite. I also didn't realise this plastic film was still on there, but anyway, can't be helped now. I might use my little surgical blade and get rid of these little bits of plastic from the film that was over this thing. But I just put some super glue on the threads and tighten these down, so there's no way that this thing will ever work itself loose. And there you go, and now I have the factory ring. So I'll show you it on. I'm just bringing my camera up. Okay, alright, now I'll put this on. It just simply slops there in place nicely like it does out of the factory from the little machine shop. So that's there, and this is the little bolt guard. You can see the bolt's exposed, and that's how this guard is. It just leaves that bolt exposed, so if you happen to have like a cord dangling around, it could just quite easily get tangled up in that and cause quite a lot of damage. Or if you had long hair, not that you should really have long hair around machinery, but if you did, it could get tangled up in there. So anyway, simple remedy, done. That took me about 3.5 hours to sort of make that. What I did too is I found that this was really tight fitting on this ring, and it was, as I was pushing it on, it was actually pushing this plastic guard around. It was pushing it and causing a bit of grief. So what I did is I just got some 80 grit sandpaper, and on the inside here I just rubbed it a little tiny bit so it wasn't such a friction fit. It still is a friction fit, but you don't have to apply tons of pressure now to get it on. But it goes on there nicely, and it still stays still. So that's everything that I've done. I sort of decided to go the full hog and just get rid of the high-low lever and everything, because seriously, when you get one of these kits on there, I genuinely doubt you ever want to convert it back to the plastic gears, and I genuinely doubt you'll ever want to I just can't see that you ever want to have that high lever there too, where you could accidentally bump it and engage those gears. So I just got rid of everything that was no longer used and turned around and did a bit of an upgrade with the little machine shop guard here too. I'm pretty pleased overall with how this guard's come out. The one thing I would recommend to some people, or any people, sorry, who go to do this, is just make sure when you when you use some nuts and bolts, make sure that they are definitely, make sure that the nuts definitely clear this pulley, and make sure you draw them out far enough to clear that pulley, because otherwise you'll have this nice bit of work that you've done, but it'll be hitting that top alloy pulley, and you don't want that. Okay then, if you liked this video, please hit the like, and if you wish to, please subscribe. Thank you. Bye.